great thing for our chat for sure. Hey guys, it's Donna Rudowitz and Linda Downey. Hello there. Happy Tuesday. Sorry for the little bit of a delay in getting started, but we are here now and we're so excited to be with you. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Donna Rudowitz and I'm a licensed clinical social worker / psychotherapist and expert transformational relationship coach. I help women post-40 reclaim their brilliance and find true love that lasts. How about you, Linda? What do you do?
I want to do what you do.
Come on over to my side of the world.
To work with you, that's for sure. I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I work with chronic health conditions with women who have fatigue and thyroid disorder, autoimmunity, any of that, because I had a lot of that most of my adult life. So that's my passion. That's what I do. And yeah. And so Donna, I just have to say, since we were waiting a few minutes to get on, because now it's in my space, I got to notice how the sign behind me that I love is crooked. I moved my desk further out from the wall, so now I could actually see it like in frame. So anyway.
That's hilarious. It's so perfect for this type of day that we're having. Why not? That's what makes it so beautiful, Linda, quite honestly, is the perfectly imperfectness of life. Isn't that just an analogy, or is it an analogy or metaphor, but for life?
Yeah. And you know what? It's so funny you say that, because for me personally, I don't really care. Like, it kind of doesn't really bother me, except that I know that people watching, there's people who are like her.
Oh yes, right now, who's ever watching who has OCD is it's driving them crazy. They just want to go behind you and just Linda, let me just let me just get that little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm laughing about. That I know I'm not somebody crazy somewhere. I really don't care that much. If you could see the dog toys and the dog mess around my feet, you would know.
I can think, yeah, it doesn't matter, right? It's like, yep. I'm surprised Casey didn't come in with me today. Yep, she's not here. Usually she's with me for these types of chats.
Yeah, yep. Well, she's going to miss a good one, because
she's going to miss a good call for sure. Hey, Diane. Diane is saying hi. So what do you want to start, Linda? What do you want to talk about today? What do you think would be, because we're really coming in with no agenda whatsoever. This really is what I consider to be a fireside chat, just kind of grabbing our cup of tea.
I'll tell you, because maybe we can expand on it. I've been doing 25 days of wellness. I started on December 1st, and I'm going to end on Christmas Day, and every day
I did see that. So tell me, it's just, I kind of have an idea what that is, just but for people who don't know what the 25 days of wellness is, what is that? Because I'm just curious.
Just every day I pop on for like a 10-minute live, and I talk about one topic that impacts your wellness, emotional, mental, spiritual. And then I give one action step, and people can decide to, participate or not. It's just a little live thing and like an action step to do. So the reason I'm wearing this bright pink today is because I felt like the action step needed a little color. So I'm like, I'm going to wear bright pink to just hopefully inspire people. So today's action step. So let me step back a little bit. What I did was, in my mind, I organized the 25 days into 5-day segments. So for 5 days, I talked. First 5 days of December, I talked about circadian rhythm and sleep and wake patterns and light and things you can do to help you sleep. This 5 days, I'm talking about emotional well-being and things you can do for your emotional well-being. So
what was today's conversation? I'd be curious. What was today's conversation?
Why I wore bright pink today was to think about and find someone that you're holding anger towards, or resentment, or blame, like any of those emotional places that you might be holding. And whether it's from last week or from when you were 10, just something that you haven't let go of. And choose to let it go. And you could do that, I said one way to do it is to write a letter. You don't even have to send it to the person. The person may not even be alive anymore or something, but to write a letter where you just like really take away the anger. I'm just letting this go. So that was today's, and it built on today's the third day of sort of this perspective from an emotional place or spiritual or whatever. Yesterday was to write 25 things that are great about, no, that was the first, right, 25.
So 25 things. Your audio is coming in and out. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm having trouble hearing you a little bit.
Oh, hold on. I've got a microphone here. Let me just plug that baby in. Here it is. Yeah. So
today was the working towards the anger towards someone, and yesterday was what are 25 things that you like about winter?
You like about yourself.
Oh, you like about yourself.
Is this better? Did this microphone work?
It seems a little better. I don't hear you going in and out.
Okay.
I'll let you know. Good. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, 25 things that you like about yourself. That was actually on Sunday. Yesterday was to pick something that happened in your life, notice the story that you created around it, and rewrite the story so that it tells a different story. And today was find somebody that you're angry with or holding resentment towards or something and let it go. So that's what we've been doing, and that's why I'm wearing this bright pink, because it was sort of, let's get inspired to be cheery and let go of some anger.
I think that's so important that you say. There's two things that I'm feeling very compelled towards, and that's the release of anger part, and the second part is the storytelling. I was talking about this with my tribe and a couple of my clients this week, and it has come up over and over again, and I find it fascinating the level of our brain and the capacity that it has to create stories. And some of these stories, they feel really true. Some of the stories really feel true. And I think this is the part that I tap into, is because your body doesn't know if the story is true or not, right? It knows no different. The only thing that it knows is the feelings that we're our physiological state, our psychology and our physiological state of where we're showing up and what is true. So and that's why I love the whole thought about hacking emotions, is because even though we may not feel good, or we may not be in a good emotional state, we can hack our physiological state to feel good and trick our brain into saying we're having a good day, right? We're feeling good, even though we may not have started the day that way.
Yes. Yeah. And it starts with really choosing to say, I'm going to shift this. Sometimes we're so in the wallow of it that we don't even realize I could actually change this. I could actually make the rest of my day go differently, or, or I do this every day. Let me do something different, just starting with even realizing that we have that ability.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be hard. Like you said, this is the simple things of noticing 25 things about yourself that are amazing. 25 things you like about yourself.
And what was interesting is, so what I've asked people to do is to comment, because if people participate regularly and comment, they'll be eligible to win an 8-week thyroid boot camp in January. So it's just a way to get people to participate. So the comments were interesting, and how many people were like, I couldn't think of 25 things.
I could tell you that right now, that's a common thing I see too. So one of the exercises in the Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond program that I have women go through that we do consistently is our at least 50 reasons why we're amazing list, right? And it's a dynamic list. It's not a static list. So I encourage them to begin to write things. And the way that I do this list is this isn't about boosting your ego and saying what a great, amazing person you are. What this is just saying is noticing who you are and the goodness that's within. Because a lot of times we look at what we're doing wrong or the struggles that we have. So this could be, you were in second grade, you met, Sally, who was new to the school, and you were the one who invited her to sit down next to you. That goes on your 50 reasons why I'm amazing list. It could be you were at Starbucks the other day and someone in front of you forgot their wallet, they didn't have the money, and you paid for their cup of coffee. That's what makes you amazing, right? So when the first time I have people kind of go through this exercise, I have the same result that you have, is people most of the time will say, I find this really difficult. I don't know what I could say. And I know we may be going down the rabbit hole here, but I think this is an important part to sort of think about, is how much that we have been as women. And this is not a woman's lib movement. Please don't get me wrong when I say this, but this is how much we've been conditioned as women to minimize ourselves and to be the good girl and to not show up bigger or greater than anybody else because we don't want anybody else to feel bad. Right? So we've been conditioned to become smaller. We've been conditioned to minimize our successes or the verbalization of them and to show people because it may make someone else feel bad. So then we've been conditioned to keep that small. Do you agree with that over the course of just life itself?
Absolutely. Or even just that our messaging as girls and young women is we're supposed to take care of everybody else. So of course, everybody else's stuff and needs first, right? That's just what we do. We look around the household and we need to do this for that and that and that and that.
Yep.
And then
I'm putting my blue light glasses on.
Oh, you know what? Where are mine? I think they're in the other room.
So guys, too, whoever is watching, Linda and I we've found out that the blue light from the computer, since we're on the computer all day, that we get the blue light into our eyes. So we both got blue light glasses.
But now how come yours look fine and I have like the big glare in mine?
So you want to know why, Linda? Okay, guys, this is going to be embarrassing. All right, hold on one second. I am going to get up, but you guys are going to see my pajama pants. So I hope that's cool. I hope, because look, I'm going to show you what I'm wearing today.
You know what?
It really was a fireside chat, guys.
Yes, I was just going to say that's what we planned, and we actually planned to have a glass of wine, which did not arrive. So next time we'll have.
I've got my cool pajama pants on. All right, but see these glasses? So these are by Warby Parker. So these are prescription glasses by Warby Parker with the blue light protection in them. So the blue light protection is built in. And do you see that you don't see the blue? These I got offline. Oh, offline. Oh my God, I sound like my mother now. Are you on the line, Donna? She calls me. Are you on the line? Yeah, Mom, I'm on the line. I'm on the line. Can I call you back? I swear. This is my conversation every day. I'll tell her, Mom, listen, I'm working between these hours. I'm going to be live, usually on Facebook or doing something. Don't call me between these hours. What hours does she call me in? Every day during that. And that's the thing. Are you on the line? Yeah. So anyway, do you see these?
I thought you said call you then. I thought you said to call you then.
So these I bought just off a blue light website, and you can see the reflection of the blue.
So your prescription ones must have something that blocks.
Linda, so you know what this means? Girl, you got to step it up and go for the Warby Parkers.
Totally. Now, you get your prescription and send it to them? Is that something a place?
Actually, it's really kind of cool. You get to, I don't know what I just did with my thing here. Everything you could order, you could go to their website. I'm plugging Warby Parker, but seriously, it's really cool. You go to warbyparker.com. You go to their website. You choose 5. I guess you have a choice of 5 frames that you could choose from. They send them to your house. You try them on. And if you like them, then you just upload your prescription to them, and they fill it right from there.
Because actually, your glasses, like the shape and even style of it.
Yeah, they're very similar. They're very similar. And by the way, I'm just going to give you a tip. You don't have to see how mine, I don't know if you have the gold tip. I don't know if you can see it, like right here, the gold thing. Don't worry about that. Don't get the regular ones without it. It's like $100 for the gold. I didn't realize that. It was like, I didn't think I needed that extra gold piece, but by that point it was too late. But anyway, Warby Parker is great. But I do like it for that reason. You don't see the blue reflection.
That's huge because I end up taking these off a lot because the glare is so distracting, when I'm online with somebody, when I'm on the line.
When you're on the line. Yes, Mom, I'm on the line.
What would your mom say about the sign behind me that's crooked?
Oh, that would drive Ruthie crazy. That would drive literally Ruthie batshit crazy. So yeah. My mother is the type of woman, I love her dearly, but if you open up a drawer and you leave it open, she'll be behind you closing the drawer. She likes everything in place. So yes.
Okay.
But guys, this is a really great exercise. What I find, and this is what I encourage my clients to do as well, is to break out of the normal patterns and behaviors of what you normally do, and to put yourself in the place of being able to have an opportunity to work through those things that drive you crazy. So I'll never forget, I think it was Wayne Dyer. had said this, and he since has passed. I love Wayne Dyer, amazing, amazing man. I've learned so much from him on my journey. And I remember him saying that he one of his triggers, or one of the things that used to drive him crazy, was going to the supermarket. And he said inevitably he would get on the line and all the lines would be moving smooth. He would get on the line, it's moving, and the moment he got on the line, it would stop, or the checkout person would change, or they would have to change the cash draw, or the tape for the receipt would have to be changed, or the person was new and they couldn't figure it out. And he said inevitably it happened to him every time. And he said it used to drive him mad. He used to get infuriated because it would be so infuriating, because he'd be on the line, he already had all of his stuff on the checkout belt, and the people next to him in the 2 aisles are zip, 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 and he's like, what the freak is going on? I'm stuck. So when he began understanding that there's nothing that happens to us, everything is being offered for us. There's a particular journey that we're on, and these little lessons and these little opportunities that are being masked as obstacles will show up at any given moment because they're there for our growth. And when he realized that, he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the supermarket and I'm going to try to find the line that's going to stop. And I'm going to look for the line that's going to be slow, because he wanted to be able to place himself in the trigger point to actually to incite the trigger, so he would have the opportunity to work through it. And wouldn't you know it, when he wasn't afraid of it anymore and he wasn't worried, because then he started saying, you know what, at the end of the day, what I'm going to think is, maybe there was a reason I needed to be on this line. Maybe if I would have left at that time, I would have had an accident, or maybe I'm meant to bump into someone. And if I would have left the store earlier, I wouldn't have had a chance to meet that person. Right. So he began to think of all these other scenarios that were possibilities for him.
The story
and he began to just lead into the idea that the line's not such a bad thing, and soften to, maybe there's a reason why I'm here on this line. And then sure enough, he shared his story that just dissolved. He couldn't find a line that was taking long. Like, he would get on the line that was taking long and all the other lines were zipping, and then all of a sudden his line would just zip, 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 and all the other lines were stopping. So it's kind of interesting that way, right? Is when we soften into what our struggle is and we move into expansion, that struggle now just dissolves. It just dissolves away. It's just not there anymore. It's not part of your struggle.
Yeah, I have a similar story with to that around technology. So am I echoing?
A little bit, but not terrible.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So around technology, like several years ago when I started working on the line, I want to say it.
This is going to be our running joke from here on. Let's go. I'll meet you on the line.
Yeah. So anyway, like with technology, I was just, you can't do this. So hard. Every time I would try to set something up, 10 things would be wrong. I was doing help tickets everywhere, and every project took me so long. And I had the whole story in my head about technology is terrible. Yes, we need it, but I really hate it, and etc. And now, so with some of the coaching that you and I do and receive, I really took that on. Like, who am I around technology, and what's the story that I have that makes it always so difficult? So now I just embrace it. Am I a tech wizard? Absolutely not. But now when things come up, I really just sail through it. Like, somehow the solution shows up much quicker, that it gets resolved. So it's kind of the same thing. It's really just shifting.
Yeah.
I think your story and how you relate about it, and then the whole thing shifts.
Absolutely. And I think it goes to the identity. Right? What is our identity? Are we the identity of the poor little girl who can't figure out tech, who's going to cry in her, pants, and, poor me, and everything is everything is against me, and this sucks, and blah, blah, blah? Or are you going to step in the identity of, I am the owner of an online company.
Yeah.
And tech is part of this journey, and I breeze through these decisions. I could figure out, I have all of the tools available to me to do this, and that tech could be fun. Because just as much as it could be a pain in the ass, it could be fun because it could give you the opportunity to be curious and figure things out, right? Because both options are available to us, that this is poor me, this sucks, this is horrible, nothing works out for me, or the option that everything works out for me and that there's a challenge on my plate and that's all it is. I don't need to make it more than it is, right? I think sometimes we tend to dramatize things, right? So something very simple of, let's just say, like you said, you trying to figure out something technical, and that's all it is. There's just one technical piece, but then the story comes in on how everything never works, how this always sucks, how and this is where we kind of go astray. Not even just kind of, but we do. But I love what you said, because there's always another choice that's available to us. There's always two opportunities: the opportunity of expansion and growth and things work out for me, or the opportunity of contraction. This is too hard. I'll never figure this out. Now, either one, there's no judgment for what you choose, because sometimes we are going to go in contraction. And I think it's just the human experience. However, I think the people who are the most successful at achieving their dreams are the ones who allow themselves to become really quickly aware of when they're in the contracted state, and then give themselves the opportunity to go into the expansive state right then and there, not to stay in the story.
Yep, for sure.
Right? And it's almost like a quick transition.
I bet with the women you work with, do you see a lot of stories around relationships or marriage or men or whatever? Or do you tend to see a pattern, or is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I primarily work with women who have experienced a fracture in their relationship, right? That could be a marriage, it could be a long-term relationship, but it's primarily a severe fracture. So let's just say, for all intents and purposes, divorce. Right? When someone has been divorced, that's an extreme fracture to someone's soul and to their heart. Right? It's something that for many women, it's a very difficult place to recover from. And because their heart has been broken so hard, and because what they've been conditioned to receive over the period of time that they were in that marriage. Because what I find too is that when someone goes through a divorce, likely 5 to 10 years prior to that has been a really difficult time for that person. Like, divorce doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that just is like, oh, I'm getting divorced. It typically happens as a slow drip over a period of years, usually 5 to 10 years. So by the time the divorce is finally finished and the paperwork is signed and things are done, that woman has been battered and bruised emotionally. Yeah. So the stories, they're real because they've experienced it, right? So to them, they've been treated poorly. To them, their heart has been broken. To them, their trust has been broken. So they've experienced it. So this is not like this is a story they're creating. It actually is a reality. But I think what ends up happening is the story becomes their identity, right? Yeah. It's not just a story anymore. It's who they believe they are.
Yeah. I ask that because I see that a lot with my group of people, the identity of I'm sick.
Yeah, and especially I wanted to ask you the same thing. So for your group of people who are primarily around health issues and not feeling well, and probably chronic, and it's probably the same thing. Chronic health conditions don't just show up. They've been happening over a period of time, right? Years exactly. And years and years, up until, and I'm guessing just like a divorce, there comes a point where that person just can't take it anymore, right? They just can't take it because their level of life and quality of life have become so affected that they need to do something. Their back is against the wall. They have to do something about it. So what stories do you see in that for the women that you work with? What are common sort of tales that are told?
It's genetic. There's a lot of all my 5 other people in my family have thyroid
Linda,
issues.
can I ask you this, not to interrupt you on this, but this is something I'm very curious on. Sure. In my research, I've been told, and through, we study a lot of the same people, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I'm very interested in epigenetics and all of the body healing itself. And what I've seen is that less than 2% of disease is actually genetic. That most disease is considered to be caused by lifestyle. So that's anxiety, stress, diet, free radicals, everything that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So is that true? Is that correct data?
Absolutely. That's why I put that under the category of story, because that's the story that people have, is it's their genes, whether it's their weight or even cancer diagnosis or autoimmunity. There is a genetic component, but it's the smallest piece of the whole thing.
And I just happened to listen to Joe Dispenza as you're saying that, Linda. Today, I just happened to listen to something he was saying. And, in a lot of what I teach to my tribe is the meditation, right? Is getting your brain into that quiet space to enable us to begin to imprint the subconscious mind to new beliefs, patterns, and behaviors that we want. And one of the things that Dr. Joe was talking about today was the upregulating and downregulating of genes. And what I found fascinating is that every single one of us here, every single human being in this world has genes of disease through them, right? But they're not triggered, so what triggers one person for that gene to turn on and another person it turns off, right? And a lot has to do with our physiological state, the way that we're operating on a daily basis, the levels of anxiety that we're facing, right? And so that can you talk about that a little bit, like the upregulation and downregulation of genes?
Sure, I love to talk about that.
Boy, we're really veering, guys. We are veering off, but I think this is very important for everybody, right? Everybody, because listen, I'm not minimizing anyone's journey. Everybody, when you go through health issues and for your tribe, right, and you go through a divorce or a separation with my tribe, I think there really is a time where we need to just be there and be sad. We do. We need to allow ourselves and be, I don't know what I would say, like honor ourselves for that journey and that path, that there's grief work that needs to happen. But we need to, like, temporary, and what I find sometimes is that by the time women get to me, they've been in the grief cycle 15 to 20 years, or 10 years to 15 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, that, and the disease is starting to show up in their body. Their body is breaking down physically because of the emotional stress that they're facing.
I think
so. Anyway, what do you have to, like? What about this downregulation of genes? Sorry, guys, I have a piece of hair just literally flew right in my eye.
Well, just on what you're saying in terms of grief, I think two things often happen. One is people shove the grief down, or the sadness, or the hurt. They shove it down and they don't experience it. They knuckle through. They've got kids to take care of. They've got whatever, and they knuckle through. So they never allow the energy of that emotion to move through their body, and it stays, and that causes bad gene expression. That causes a chemical environment that cells live in that is not good. Which is why today's my thing today was to let go of anger. That's why I dressed in pink today and did that, right?
Isn't that very interesting that we're talking about that? Yeah, so it's coming. So you were very, very appropriately dressed for today. Today's conversation, that we had no idea we'd be talking about this.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were talking about. But so there's that. There's the not dealing with it, shoving it down, or I'm fine, whatever, and keep going, or staying in it and wallowing in it and nurturing the grief, like telling the same story for 15 years. My husband, you know what I mean? So there's that sort of wallowing in it and feeling it, but never moving through. So both of those, I think, are common scenarios. And what happens is then the nervous system, which is really in charge of everything, the nervous system is going to, tell the immune system what to do. It's going to tell the digestive system what to do. So the nervous system stays very locked, right? Very engaged and turned on in a stress response. And now, that's producing certain hormones, that's producing certain chemicals that allow the body. So then if you've got free radicals are an electron that's free, not bound to something. That's why it's called free radical. Cancer cells look for that free electron to latch onto and then try to grow and take over those molecules in those cells. So those free radicals are not being handled. So now if you have a cancer gene in your family, there's a stronger likelihood that that gene is going to get to turn on and be expressed and take hold. We all have cancer cells that we're exposed to, and it's the job of our immune system to see them and, surround them. And
so would that be when a gene is opened, let's just say it's open for takeover, right? So it's not operating in a healthy state. Is that upregulating or downregulating?
Upregulating means you turn it on. Downregulating means you turn it off. So
basically we want to downregulate gene expression.
You want to downregulate the genes that are going to express disease, and you want to upregulate the genes that are going to foster good health and clean up the body. You want to do both, right? So you want to upregulate.
Oh, this is fascinating. I'm loving this conversation. Right. So we're downregulating the genes that are going to kind of show up. I guess what we want to do is downregulate those genes that cause disease, and we want to upregulate the genes that cause wellness.
Yes. So let me give you an example. In my world, like a lot of my news feed, because of things that I follow, there's the MTHFR gene. So that's a methylation gene. So methylation is a very important process in the body that we need for a lot of different things to happen, in our body. Methylation. MTHFR is gene mutation. So people who have the MTHFR gene mutation have an issue with their methylation process. Okay.
Got it.
Now, if you live in a way like you're eating processed foods and you've got toxins in your body and you're emotionally locked up, you're going to turn on that. It's called a polymorphism, that genetic expression that hinders your methylation process.
Interesting.
You're turning on a gene that's not helpful. But if you clean up your diet and you find out exactly the things that your body needs, you can shut that gene off and methylate better.
Got it. Yeah. And so I'm guessing to upregulate the good genes, that's through healthy mindset, that's through meditation, through getting in your brain into a certain brainwave state, right? That's allowing your brain to go into what I would say tap into the field of consciousness and tap into that and quiet the brain waves. Probably healthy eating, right? Being conscious of what's good for you. Sleep. I'm guessing like all the things that are important.
It goes back to the nervous system. It's allowing the nervous systems. You've got this nervous system, autonomic nervous system with two branches, and it's allowing the body to be under the regulation of the parasympathetic branch, the calming and resting most of the time. So when you're in that branch of the nervous system, that is when your brain is calmer. That is when you can sleep well. That is when you digest, right? And your body isn't stressed from bad foods and being upset. Then when your nervous system shifts into stress mode, we're supposed to. It's not that stress is terrible, but we're not supposed to stay there. That's the problem.
Right. It's meant to be a temporary state, right? It's meant to save you, right? If you think about, we're being attacked by a wild animal, we need to have enough energy to be able to fly or fight, right? Retreat, fly, fight. And then, if you kind of look at a deer, right? A deer could be attacked by another predator. And in that moment, it's going to do whatever it needs to do to survive. And then after I guess the threat has passed, it goes back to grazing. It doesn't think about, what just happened. It doesn't think about what might happen. It doesn't think about the stress that it just experienced. I think we might be the only species that does that, right? That a threat has happened, we've experienced it, but we continue to experience it as if it happened just the same day, where that threat could have happened 10 years ago. And yet we're continuing to tell the story and continuing to replay it out and continuing to kind of work through it over and over again, right? And then that continues that stress response moving.
Yeah. There's a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers that speaks to exactly
that's a great book. I never heard of that. Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Okay, I'm going to read that.
I think a doctor or a psychologist from the 70s or, or early 80s. It's not a recent book. That really one of the first books that identified this. And it is the level of our thinking brain, like our thought processes that allow us to go, oh my God, why did he pick me? Is he going to come back tomorrow? And like all of that churning, looping thoughts. And also the level of our brain is made to always look out for danger, right? So we're always looking for danger, because that's the way to protect us. I think some of the simpler species, they're just doing their thing. I mean, they have their innate self-defense mechanisms, but we have this thinking process of, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because you remember we started this conversation a little bit about what are the stories that we often hear people say, what are some of the common stories? And when you're saying, we're, especially if you're in that fight or flight mode, you're going to be scanning the environment for threats, right? So if, let's say, in my particular case, in the women that I work with, let's say someone had been betrayed by their partner, right? This partner who they were in love with, they were married 20 years, they come to find out that he had an affair. So her trust muscle has been broken. And it's interesting because that's what I do hear from the women who come to my table, is that they don't even realize they're doing it. This is all subconscious, but they're scanning the environment and finding every single piece of the environment of people, places, and things that have broken their trust, or in things they can't trust. Right. So what they're doing is they're creating this a subconscious self-fulfilling prophecy that life can't be trusted, that people can't be trusted, that and again, that goes into the story. I can't trust anybody. There are no good guys left out there that are trustworthy, right? So they're continuing this fight or flight journey and scanning the environment and only finding what their brain is being conditioned to find. Exactly. Where work that I do is I come in and I meet them where they're at, but then we create a new story, because like anything else, if your story is going to be, if your brain is going to tell a story, why not tell a story of a life that you want?
Yeah.
Right? Why not tell the story of what you want to create? So we begin to soften that environment and bring them out of the fight or flight and go into the parasympathetic mode, calm down that nervous system. So they are able to begin to see that, wait a minute, not everyone is not trustworthy, and not everything isn't not trustworthy, that maybe there are people left who I could trust. Maybe there are certain things I could trust. And it all begins with trusting themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? That journey of allowing that brain just to calm down.
Yes. And that allows, that goes then into my realm, which it allows your body to heal, to recover, to shut off the genetic expressions that aren't serving you, to upregulate the genes that we want to have, that are, genes for energy and vibrancy, the genes that regulate, producing energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm loving this, because I think this is so important for the work that we do. And well, I'm going to say for the work that I do with the women that I serve, the work of understanding that it's not just about healing our heart, because it is a big part about is healing the heart. But our heart gets healed not because of things we say or we do, but more because we're bringing our body back into that parasympathetic state and allowing the body to do the job of the healing. That we don't have to come in and try to manage that or control that the body can do it on its own.
Yeah. And you know what, Donna, it's the same for my people. There may be a bit more actual strategies, like we've got it just because their bodies have gotten to the place where there's a lot going on. So there might be foods we have to remove.
Yep. How do you do that too? How do you decide what is it? Are there tests that you do? Are there blood work that you do? Or how do you know to find out like what foods work with you and what foods don't? And how does one kind of go down that path to find out what's good for them and what's not?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we do. There's a lot of different food sensitivities tests. I like, it's called a food zoomer, ZOOMER, like it zooms in, because it's not a whole foods test. It's a blood test, but instead of looking at the whole food, it looks at the individual proteins that the food,
Interesting.
because our body sees the proteins, right? We chew it up and it gets broken down into these peptide chains. That's how the body sees it. So it's like the difference between a picture of a tomato or a jigsaw puzzle of a tomato, right? A picture is just a picture, and you're only going to see the whole thing. But if you have a jigsaw puzzle of a tomato and you take each individual jigsaw puzzle piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I just have a piece. I might not even know that's a tomato, but my body recognizes that piece. So the Zoomer's test does that. And then you'll see by your immune response, how you're responding to foods that could be causing inflammation. And the good news is a lot of foods, after a length of time of cutting them out and doing some work on your body, you can add a lot of them back in. So
right. Yeah.
Have to be forever. Yeah. But what was I going to
say? Fascinating to me, because sometimes I remember going through a journey when I was early on in my divorce journey. I probably would have been a perfect candidate for you. I was a mess physically. My stomach was a mess. I couldn't eat anything. I just wasn't able to really function. I felt very tired and lethargic. And to me, I ended up going to a holistic chiropractor at the time. And she was the one who did muscle testing, right? So kinesiology. She began to muscle test me and found out that I had a sensitivity to gluten. I have a sensitivity to dairy, wheat, a lot of the stuff that I guess, a lot of the population experiences. Yeah. And when I took that out of my diet, it was amazing, the difference that I felt.
Yeah. Yes. So what I was going to say is there might be a bit more like physical type of things that we have to do just to let the body calm down, because it's become so inflamed. But it's really the same thing as what you said, is remove the things that are inflammatory, teach the nervous system how to calm down, and then allow the body to heal itself. That's we actually really do the same thing. You're healing the heart and I'm healing the body, but the body is impacted by the heart, right? So we have to look at that, and you're saying, listen, your heart is going to get better, but let your body calm down, get out of stress. So it's really the same exact thing, right?
Same exact thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. That's why we have the same glasses almost.
Yeah. That's why we're twinning on the line with our glasses.
I love that.
So Linda, tell me, if someone wanted to work with you because they're listening today and they're saying, you know what, let's even say that someone even is working with me, right? We're working on the emotional side, we're working on healing the heart, but they're noticing that the physical pieces are showing up in the components. So how could someone work with you, or how can someone kind of get in touch with you to see, or learn more about what you do?
Okay. Yeah. So my company's name is Organic Health Journey. So if I put that in, there's the business page, or organichealthjourney.com is my website. Actually, do organichealthjourney@gmail.com. That's my email.
So, alrighty,
organichealthjourney@gmail.com. Right. But it's all Organic Health Journey, right? I just kept it very consistent so that people could, Facebook group, Instagram, website, email. It's all Organic Health Journey. And then there is a private Facebook group called Fatigue, Thyroid, and Autoimmune Recovery. Thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
That group has about almost 3,000 people in it. It's really a conversation of where's the person at in their journey. Are they committed to really take this on? Because it's not like a pill and next week you're going to be better, right? It's going to take something. It's going to take partnership of really working together and figuring it out, but really understanding that you can reverse so much of these chronic health issues.
And you know what I feel personally for me is that when I'm feeling good and my body is functioning and I'm feeling good from the inside out, I'm more able to handle stress. I'm more able to handle the triggers that might come up. I'm more able to handle the day-to-day things that are going on, right? Like it's the more, and I think that's the key pieces, guys, because there is no one size fits all for everybody. It's finding the pieces for yourself on your own journey. Like we began the conversation talking about Wayne Dyer, about how, you know, he realized that these thoughts and these triggers were really keeping him into his own prison. So he began to search out things that would trigger him so he could work through them. So that's what I would consider to be more like, you know, field work, right? Going out there and putting yourself into that place and being able to work through it. And then, you know, you have the emotional side of it, which is what I do. We work on the heart. We work on forgiveness and trust and gratitude and learning how to bring that parasympathetic state, you know, nervous system down to the quietness, as well as changing and reprogramming our subconscious belief systems to get that old programming out and the stories that no longer serve us and put new programming in. Right.
Yeah.
So we can create these new stories. And then there's the other piece of it too, which is what you do is how your body is functioning, the physiological, the physical part, like what foods are working for you, what proteins. I never even thought of that, to be quite honest, Linda. I mean, like I never thought about the like you said, the jigsaw puzzle between the tomato and all of those other pieces. It never came into my thought pattern that that's something that could be affecting the way we function. So thank you for that too, because I think like having all of these pieces, you as your own individual, whoever is listening to us this evening and here joining us on this fireside chat, is you get to figure out for yourself what is best for you and what you need. But it doesn't always come, you know, in a nice wrapped package. I find that and again, I'm going to say me, not we, but I find that sometimes I figure out what I want and need by trying things and realizing what didn't work for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, and being, there is no failure, guys. Like, seriously, there is no failure on your journey to true health and happiness. That you are going to try some things that are not going to work for you. There's no need to create a story around it. There's no need to make it mean anything other than I'm so happy and grateful that I tried it, because now I know it doesn't work for me. So I know that's a journey, that's a path I don't have to go. But it's putting together the puzzle of what works for you and all of the pieces.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, by the time somebody works with me, they've usually tried a lot on their own.
Yeah,
they've tried a lot of
keto
diet and, you know, all of that. So, yeah.
Well, my friend, this was awesome. This was so much fun. I like these casual chats.
Yeah, I kind of like it in the evening with just, you know, it's just like a little bit before bed, something to think about and to unwind together is really fun. So thank you for that.
And next time, so for those of you who don't know, Linda also is now, I think you're a distributor for wines, right? Without the chemicals and sulfates and all of those things. So our plan tonight really was to have our glass of wine together. So you know what this means? This means we just have to schedule another chat.
There you go.
That's
there
it.
You go.
We can have our wine together.
Yes, it was kind of a last minute thing, so I didn't order the wine in time. But yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer, Donna. I'll tell you real quick, and then we can go. But I was looking for a topic for a live because I'm always looking to, be on the line with someone, and so locally here, I met this woman, and she sells this wine. It's pesticide free, chemical free, and it's low enough in sugar to be keto friendly. Mm. So I was like, oh, that's great. My tribe is health. Could you come talk about this wine? So she did. And after she was done, I was like, I should be selling this. Like, this is a no-brainer because
absolutely.
Yeah, I stopped drinking wine because I didn't feel well the next day. It would give me a headache. My cheeks would get bright red within like 2 gulps of it, all of that. And that's
I had the same experience. I get well, certain, what's interesting too, and I know we digress, but when I went to Italy, so we went not last summer, was it last summer? The summer before. And so I'm highly sensitive to gluten. I don't have celiac, but I'm highly sensitive to gluten and wheat and also the wine. So the moment I take a sip of wine, particular wines, I'll get I'll feel heat and my cheeks will get red and I get stuffy. So my nose would just close, like I have a stuffy nose, and I couldn't figure out why. Like there was no rhyme or reason. And there's some wines that I don't have that as strong a reaction to, like certain red wines. So again, I can't figure it out. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But when I went to Italy, surprisingly, I could eat and drink. I could have their pasta without feeling any reaction to it. And their wines, I had not one reaction to any of the wines.
It's no surprise, Donna. It's what we do here. So our wheat is a hybridized plant. It's not the normal wheat that started happening in the 80s, right? There's countries who won't even take our wheat because they know it's hybridized, number one. Number two, it's soaked in glyphosate, Roundup. So,
right.
So that's why the wheat here is so bad for our bodies. And then the same thing with the wine. You can't find wine in this country, regular commercial wines that don't test positive for pesticides. So they add the pest. I learned this when I did the live with the woman. That's why by the end of the live, I was like, oh my God, I got to sell this, because she's like the chemicals, like the sulfates and all that. And they even add sugar to get the
food coloring, I've heard.
Yeah, all of that to get the taste very consistent. So people know that they're getting, like, it's going to taste the same. So they use, this company uses a lot of different small family vineyards, and they test twice at the University of California at Davis. Their grapes go through a double testing process. But anyway, so that's it. But it's going to be like that. It's going to be like you're in Italy, except I can't.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm really curious to try it. I'm looking forward to it, actually, because, I've been, I don't know. I'm wondering if when you go to the liquor store, if you buy a wine that's imported, right? So let's say it's imported from Italy. Is it really truly imported? I don't know. I mean,
I've had imported wine. I've only found one, and it was from Argentina that was organic, and organic means no pesticides, and I did better with. But I really just kind of stopped drinking wine. And so when I signed up as a rep, I did get 4 bottles. I gave a couple out, but I did have some, and I had no issue. My head didn't hurt.
Okay, I'm curious. I can't wait to try this. So, Linda, you said you sent me one, right? It's on its way. It's in delivery mode somewhere along the way, so I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, I think I did it Thursday or Friday, so hopefully by.
Okay, I won't actually open the bottle until we're together. We'll do another Facebook Live. We'll open the bottle together, and we'll try the wine, and we'll let everybody know what our thoughts are on this wine.
Awesome.
All right. Cool. And then your job is to go to warbyparker.com and get the new glasses.
Okay. Warby is WARBY?
PARKER. Yep. And believe it or not, Warby Parker. And last time I looked, and they might have changed it, but I think it's $99 and includes everything. It includes your frame, it includes your lens, unless you have something that's really, if you have a really bad eye problem or an issue or something that you need a specialized lens for. Their regular lenses are just $99, so it's not terrible. Listen, it's not cheap, but it's not terrible.
Awesome. I just have to get my prescription from where I got my eyes done, but okay.
All right, guys, so here's Linda's organic health journey at gmail.com. And for anybody who is looking to work on themselves, reclaim their brilliance, fall in love with themselves, and attract true love that lasts, you know where to find me, right here on Donna Rudowitz, LCSW coach, and DonnaRudowitz.com. So with that said, sending you so much love, my friend. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. As always, always, so much fun. I'll see you later.
Have a good night.
Sleep tight.